Okay, so I want to share. This is like maybe it's one of the truly great works of art, and it's like actually those Chinese rhyme, but but as you translate it into English, it ain't going to rhyme. It's 146 lines, and probably just about the most cohesive brilliance, and setting a bar impossible for us to reach. Okay, so it's called, the way this is translated, as I said last week, is, and that's what I kind of want to talk about about what that means. They translate it as trust in mind. It's also translated sometimes as the trusting mind. Okay, so here it goes, and we'll just enjoy a few lines, uninterrupted by ADHD. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinions for or against anything. Easy, right? Excuse me, I wasn't going to. All right, if you wish to see the truth, hold no opinions for or against anything. To set up what you like against what you dislike is the disease of the mind. When the deep meaning of things is not understood, the mind's essential peace is disturbed to no avail. The way is perfect, like vast space, where nothing is lacking and nothing is in excess. Indeed, it is due to our choosing to accept or reject that we do not see the true nature of things. We talked about what the true nature is last week. Live neither in the entanglements of outer things, nor in the inner feelings of emptiness. Don't get attached to feelings of quietude, right? From the inside. Don't get attached to inside or outside. Be serene in the oneness of things, and such erroneous views will disappear by themselves. When you try to stop activity to achieve passivity, your very effort fills you with activity. We could do that, when we're sitting, right? Kind of like trying to get, trying to be active about being passive, and yet it's just another form of activity. As long as you remain in one extreme or the other, you will never know oneness. So there's about half of it now. But I just thought I would just kind of give you the flavor of it again. I think the most famous two lines in this poem, most of you have read on your the little daily calendars that we all have. Right? We get it, or like kind of like in an email where there's a famous saying. This is one of probably the most famous saying. Do not search for the truth, only cease to cherish opinions. Isn't that beautiful? Do not search for the truth, only cease to cherish opinions. So I could actually read that over about 55 times, and maybe like each time I read it, maybe we'll go in a little bit deeper. Robert and I were talking last week about, is he serious about not having opinions? Well, how do you do that? How did you come up with that? How do you not have an opinion about this or that, right? And I remember last week I asked you all, does anybody have an opinion about Donald Trump? But it doesn't matter, right? But it doesn't really matter. I mean, that's just the soup du jour, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what pops up on, in the press. It's like we immediately have an opinion about it, pro or con, usually. I like this, I don't like this. I want this, I don't want this. So I wanted you to go back. I went hunting and searching to find the original lines that I love so much that I shared with you all last week, and I thought I would just read them again and in their, and I want to just kind of like start with a little bit of a story. And by the way, I have no idea. Now, see, I found this a week ago, so God only knows if I'll find it again. Well, it's just, what are you going to do? It's like you just have to sort of love it. The it is what you are, right? So I was having an excellent session with somebody, and I had made this point to this person. As I have this, I think this is a record. As I have observed that in their process over the years, I said, have you noticed that the people that come into your life, they seem to be reflecting your growth? People you date, even. Have you noticed lately that there's like a healthier bunch of people in your life? And this person said that was really true. So as we went along, I was saying, so I said, well, so I said, you have really drawn much healthier type of people in your life. And so he said, well, he's a very smart person. So he said, well, when you say that, and you said that I have really drawn more, a lot of healthier people in my life, he said, aren't you talking about the ego? I had to really scramble on that. He said, aren't you talking about the ego? And so, that was really a great question. And we had already been talking about this thing, trust in things, not in self. And I said, no, I'm not talking about ego in that sense. But I said, I totally understand why it would sound like that, But I said, so I said, I don't think you can put it into words really correctly. So then we got into this whole discussion of how language absolutely reifies a sense of self. I am Victor. I'm just Toast. Just when I say that, right? You are Monique. Everything that we say solidifies or reifies this sense of I. It's like the thought. Forget even the language of the thought that we have in the mind. It does a sense. So anyway, so we talked about that, and so I was trying to explain to this person, not perhaps so skillfully, no. I said, so that was, forget what I just said about you have drawn these people. I said, this process has drawn people into your life. So we kind of got that. We finally got okay with that. He finally decided maybe it wasn't his ego. So then he decided to rephrase it. So he said, so I said, we decided, let's refer to ourselves as this. We were talking about a Christian murder referring to himself as the speaker, right? He never would use the word I. It was so cute. So he would say, the speaker has noticed, right? Who is that? So I said, so maybe we could say that. So we could say like this has drawn people into his life. So he liked that a lot. So within like 10 seconds, he said, okay, so you're saying now this has drawn healthier people into my life. And immediately when he said it, I said, no. I said, all of a sudden you have reified that word this. And so now this has become you. So he said, what the hell does reify mean? He said, what is reify? So now I had to scramble again. I thought, oh, I forgot what that word means. I used to know that word. I used to use it all the time. So I wanted to share with you all that the conundrum that each of us has, most of you have, is that we can't even use any word without reifying it. So I started fooling around with this idea of, rather than saying trust in things, not in self. So here's this poem, Trust in Mind. Right? This beautiful, amazing poem. So I said, so why can't we just say trust in mind, not in self? Does anyone have the answer why we can't say trust in mind, not in self? We have already reified the word mind. Right? We've already taken the word mind and made it something that we can hang our hat on. And the whole point of the poem is about you can't hang your hat on anything. We want to hang our hat on everything. Do you understand? So we'd love to say trust in mind. What's the difference in that and saying trust in God? Trust in the USA, trust in the Republican Party, trust in the Democratic Party, trust in Brad, trust in Victor. And so we desperately want to trust in something because, of course, we've been so, the basic accomplishment of a little baby is called basic trust, right? And unfortunately, most little babies have issues with trust by the time they're one. They've not found much of their surroundings that creates in them a feeling of trust. So to go back, so reifying would be, we can't even say trust in mind. And that's, to some extent, what this extraordinary point is about, right? I mean, it says, no, you can't do that, right? If you're saying the great way is easy for those who give up preferences, that's precisely saying for those who are not reifying anything, they're not making anything solid. Another way of looking at it or remembering it, by the way, I want you all to know that I have a sinking feeling as I'm speaking. Do you see this sinking? I haven't moved, have I?
Yeah. Twice on the watch, but that's pretty good.
Twice?
It's not bad, it's not bad.
I think this is so impossible to understand and or speak about that I get this sinking feeling as I talk because I think, well, I mean, I don't know. It's like I don't hold on to it, and so then how else can anybody else? But so there is this a little bit of a sinking feeling. So this is, I love Da Hui. He's one of the old Chinese teachers. He was so practical. He put everything in words that you could understand, impossibly subtle thoughts, right? And that you could understand. So he would look at all his students. Just imagine we're sitting here, and this old Chinese guy sitting there on the dais, and he's looking out with, and he said, "You people," he said, "you grasp something really important and then make a nest out of it." That's reifying. That's what that word reify means. You make a nest out of it. So you see, I would like to say to you all today, I wish we could just come out of here with this idea of trust in mind, not in self. But we can't do that. Because the minute of, I like what he said about that, I'm going to trust in mind. And then you're just done, and I'm just done. So the truth is, the closest that he can come to, which I think is so amazing, is he say, Bodhidharma says, okay, all right. We can't give them anything. we can't give them anything to hold on to. How pathetic are human beings? He didn't say that. I did. He was probably talking about me. So he's going to say, he wants to say trust in something, but he knows that we will reify whatever it is, right? So what does he come up with? He comes up with this amazing thing. He says trust in things. Trust in things. So, I thought, just popped into my mind, little things mean a lot. Remember that song? So we're walking up, I'm walking up the steps of Travis, and I said, Travis, you're looking pretty chipper today. And so Travis says, he says, I'm feeling pretty good. And I said, so what's happening here? He said, well, he says, things have sort of settled down. Things have sort of settled down, right? Those things. And then I think maybe I said, but those things are not gnawing at you, right? So what are things? What are things? Well, you can't make a face like that with me.
I'm lost.
I'm going to do Cassie's things. What are things are, actually in this won't kill you all to learn this or hear this. The literal meaning of the word things is dharma. Dharma. Monique, that even surprised you, didn't it? Mm-hmm. I mean, so we all are used to this, like this big word, dharma, the Buddha Dharma. The Buddha taught the Dharma, which means the truth. But the literal meaning of that word, little, Dhar, it refers to phenomena. Phenomena. What's a phenomena? A phenomena is a thing. What is a thing is something that has a shape. Some sort of a shape, right? Even a thought has a shape. I mean, you picture an image of a thing. So so all of this, it's really interesting because this is like the enormous turn in Buddhism from the teaching of the Buddha, the classical Buddha. So we're going all the way now to almost like 1,000 years after his passing. But it's all, the thing that's is kind of amazing about it is if you go back to what the Buddha taught and you go through the extraordinary genius of Nagarjuna, who actually lived about 600 years after the Buddha died, and then into the Chan, the whole movement of the Chan and Taoism in China. It still goes exactly back to what the old Buddha taught. I mean, it just changes, right? The clothes, it's sort of like the clothes change, everything changes. But the whole thing goes back to what he taught. And when you study, you see everybody always comes back to dependent origination. Finally, everything comes back to that. Everything comes back to what he said. That he said that if you want to say that phenomena, his conclusion was, when he went step by step by step by step by step. But his conclusion was that there ain't no anything in phenomena. It's empty. Does that make any sense? Well, your face is relaxing just a little bit. You're still holding your mouth pretty tight. There's no. There's a famous saying that says there's no thing in that things don't. There's no thingness in things. I like a lot. There's things are events that rise and fall. They occur, right? Conditions cause something to arise, and then when the conditions evaporate, they fall. So the teaching, and so this is where we're getting with all of these Chan points, is that the only thing you can really depend on, which is like you can't really depend on anything, but you can depend on the truth that nothing lasts. There ain't nothing that lasts. All right, well, nothing, that's referring to things.
Right, got it.
Okay. Anything that you can conjure up, you put a thing in my hand, and I will show you something that will not last. Okay? It doesn't matter what it is, right? Your new car, your new cat, a new baby. Nothing lasts, right? Things do not last. Now, that's bad news for us. I mean, for those of us who have egos, the ego hates that right? The ego desperately wants to believe that something lasts, It's like, I could really kind of maybe bear to look and say, well, probably Eric probably doesn't last. Well, and maybe Brad doesn't last, but surely I'll last. And someone once said one of the most remarkable things on the face of the earth is that we can watch everyone dying and still think it'll never happen to us. It's amazing, right? Well, that one died, and that one died, and that one died, right? And I can remember when my mother, who was 99, right? I mean, every friend she had died, right? I mean, she was extraordinary in her relational capacity. Her friends were 50 and 60 and 70 years old, literally. She wrote letters to them, and they wrote letters to her. And we would watch them one by one by one, so that when she was 99, there was not one left. She was still shocked when people died. I mean, that doesn't mean she was stupid. It means that she was a human being, right? Oh my God. And I've already told you the story. I mean, this is awful. I mean, thank God this is not on YouTube. But I used to, I used to fly to Tennessee and play for funerals. I started to say weddings. I used to play for funerals. At a certain point, everybody, people were dying like flies, and so they always wanted me to play for funerals because I play wonderful gospel songs, Christian songs. So, I can remember sitting there at the piano and watching someone draped over the coffin of someone who was like 96 years old just wailing, "Oh my God, I'll see you in heaven." And I thought, this shouldn't be a surprise to you. I mean, I hope I'm not making fun. But I mean, in other words, that's seriously bad news, that nothing is permanent. Nothing. Did you hear the last part of that "no"? The word was thing. No thing is permanent. The person who said this was Bobby Buddha, or George Buddha. What a person. He's the person who said this. And he said it 2,500 years ago, and no one has agreed with it since. No one's liked it. No thing lasts. And then he also said, and there ain't any me in a thing. There's no me in anything. There's no self. There's no self in something. It's empty. It's empty in the sense of space. And he also said, when you cling to that nothing, you're going to suffer. Those are three great truths. You cling to it, you might as well get ready to hurt bad, right? It'll go away, right? It could be the greatest love affair, but it'll go away. It could be, like your child. She will go away, or your son. He will go, everything will go away. And so a person, so then we go back to, right, the great way. It's not difficult for those who have no preferences. A person who has managed to slowly let go of their attachment to things is a person who has begun to find some inner peace. He says, so he's explaining why he says, trust in things, not in self. So you already know now what we're talking about when he says things, right? He's talking about trust in things. He's talking about every single phenomenon that comes into your mind. Everything. Every thought is a thing. Every image is a thing. Everything is a thing. So he says, as we read in the poem, we were talking about the where the mind begins to see the nature of things, right? Do you remember when I read that? The mind you can see the nature of things. So it's talking about this, so that you're beginning, when you see the nature of things, you're seeing those three characteristics, right? They're empty of self, they're impermanent. Okay, so what Bodhidharma says is, let me see if I can pull this up. Those who see the self, he says, he refers to it as ego. The self is ego. Okay? That's why, and so he says it 2 or 3 different times over and over. That's why he is saying, trust in things, not in self. He's right. Not in self is talking about ego. And the problem is, once again, we have reified that word ego. So we've made it something also, right? So we've made it, and we tend to make it bad, don't we? Ego is bad, that's a pejorative. But again, and if you go back to, again, another contradiction, like Jung has this beautiful passage where he talks about one of the great things of our life is creating, building this personality, building this ego to an extent. So it's extraordinarily difficult for us because, again, we want to hold on to it. We want to reify this. So we reify the word ego, and so Bodhidharma is that's why he's trying to say to us, when he's saying do not trust in self, he's actually saying do not trust in this reified sense of me, this thing inside that relentlessly wants and needs. I don't like this, I don't like that, I want this, I don't want that. That this thing that constantly comes up, rises over and over and over. That's unfortunately what we call the word self, but once again we can't even use that word because we will reify that too. We will reify anything. I reified your foot, right? Okay, so the statement is trust in things, not in self. And as I said to you all last week, and I would like to say it to you again and again and again, I have had more comfort from that expression than anything that I can remember in my life. There are